and what actually works. So before we start, hold on, yeah, okay. Before we start, I want to say this is not legal advice. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. Laws are different in every situation and state, so always do your own research or speak with an attorney if needed. Now, in this video, we're going to talk about why most credit disputes fail and what actually works, because this is one of the biggest frustrations people have when they're trying to actually fix their credit. So, I talk to people all the time who say the same thing. They say, I sent a dispute and nothing came off. I sent letters and they verified everything. And also the same thing with templates. I used templates and it didn't work. And the reason most people fail in disputes is because people are disputing without a strategy. So the first thing we're going to talk about is generic templates don't work. Okay? And before you say, well, you have a DIY kit, that is for the when you are beginning a dispute and you say, hey, I don't even really know what's on the face of the violations that's on the face of my report, or there's very little of them. Um, or it could be a lot of them for you to start off your complaint. But as time goes on and as you actually get into the dispute process, this is why I really, really break down the law. And even in the DIY kit with the letters, I break down the violations and what the violations are. So you can kind of tweak those letters, even in that sense, to your specific situation. The way a company violated me may not be the way a company violated you. You're dealing with a bankruptcy, I may be dealing with a charge off. And again, even in that, your bankruptcy might be reporting a one violation and another bankruptcy is reporting a different violation. So it, you know it's never going to be a one template fits all. Okay, so one of the biggest mistakes people make is using generic dispute templates. So credit bureaus have seen the same templates thousands and thousands of times, and I think that's what people fail to realize. So when they see these template disputes, many times they don't treat them like real investigations, right? They mark them as frivolous or irrelevant and just verify the account again, right? So credit repair is not about sending the same letters everyone else is sending. It's more about sending the right dispute for the right reason at the right time. Disputes should be specific. They should identify actual issues and they should be strategic, not just you copied and paste a strategy, okay? Or you copied and paste a letter. I'm sorry, you always need a strategy. We're getting into the next one, a lack of strategy. This is probably the biggest problem. People are just sending random disputes with no actual plan. They dispute online, then they send a letter, then they dispute again, then they send another letter, and there's no strategy behind what they're doing. Credit disputes should be strategic. You should know why you're disputing, what laws apply, what the credit bureau is required to do, what the furnisher is required to do. Those are two big ones. And what your next step is if they verify. And again, that's how far the letters take you, right? Because once they verify it, even though I have follow-up letters, again, I also teach you guys what constitutes a violation under the FCRA, under the FDCPA, under the Truth in Lending Act, because at the end of the day, if you are able to read those and then tweak the letter and say, okay, this fits into my certain situation, it's never going to be the same template that everybody else is sending to them. Okay? If you're sending letters and hoping something gets removed, that's not a strategy, y'all. That's just simply guessing. All right? The next reason number 3, not identifying violations. This is a big one, and this is where most people mess up, right? Credit repair is not just about saying something is inaccurate, it's literally about identifying the violation. So, for example, inaccurate balances, wrong dates, duplicate accounts, accounts not marked as disputed, mixed files, identity theft issues, failure to investigate properly, huge one, accounts reporting differently on different bureaus. These types of issues can turn into violations under the FCRA, which is 15 USC 1681. So instead of just saying this account is not mine or this is inaccurate, you should be looking for what laws may be violated and what the credit bureaus and furnishers did wrong. That's a huge thing. You have to verify what they did wrong. You have to be able to tell a story. All right, reason number 4, Metro 2 misunderstandings. A lot of people hear the term Metro 2 and think it's if something is not Metro 2 compliant, it automatically has to be removed. And that's not exactly how it works. Okay. So Metro 2 is the reporting format that creditors use to report information to the credit bureaus. It's basically a data reporting system and is a bunch of reporting guidelines. But what really matters legally is whether the information is being reported accurate and whether the credit bureaus and furnishers are pretty much following the FCRA when they investigate disputes. So Metro 2 is important for understanding how accounts are reported, but disputes should be based on inaccuracies, incomplete information, and violations of the actual FCRA, not just throwing around the words Metro 2 compliant, because again, normally they lead to other violations. So the Metro 2, that's whatever is reporting not Metro 2 compliant, is a guideline, but it's not an actual law. Your law is your if you go after a company, you're still going to have to go under um, the actual law, which is the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Metro 2 is not a law. It's just a reporting standard, a reporting guideline. All right. Um, I want to talk about what actually works, because what actually works when it comes to credit disputes is strategy. Okay, you have to have a great strategy, documentation, documenting everything from the moment you sent that first letter out, identifying inaccuracies, identifying violations, keeping records, following up correctly, and then escalating when necessary, whether that be the CFPB, the FTC, maybe your attorney general, and then um, the highest, which is a lawsuit, right? So you can sue them for your violations and get that account removed permanently. Credit repair is not just sending letters, okay? It's a process and it's a strategy behind it, all right? I want to kind of break down a little bit the FCRA really, really quickly. So, the Fair Credit Reporting Act requires credit bureaus to investigate disputes, and it requires furnishers to report accurate information and investigate disputes as well, right? That's why in my DIY kit, it's always going to be a letter first to the actual credit reporting agencies, because that's what forces the actual furnisher to investigate properly, right? If they fail to do those things properly, that's when you start getting into violations and potential liability. So, if you want to read more about that, you would look under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, which is 15 USC 1681, and especially sections like 1681I for investigations and 1681S-2 for furnishers' responsibilities. Those are like the biggest two of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So instead of just sending letters over and over, you should be learning how the system actually works and how to dispute strategically, and how and when to escalate. All right. If you really want to learn how to dispute correctly, how to identify violations, how to build dispute strategy, and how to escalate when things are not corrected, I teach real dispute strategy inside my community, where I break this down step by step and show real life examples. So if your disputes keep failing, it's probably not because nothing is wrong. It's probably because the disputes are not being done strategically. Once you understand how the system works, then that is when literally everything changes. So, yeah, if this video helped you, make sure you subscribe, because I'm going to keep making videos about credit, consumer law, debt collectors, lawsuits, and how to protect yourself financially and legally. So, with that being said, I will see you guys in the next video.